familiar with publicity stunts at this point. Am I right, ladies? Ladies. You know, when an artist is just conveniently in the news for something so crazy, they did something crazy! Right before they're dropping a song or an album. Or maybe the publicity stunt is directly related to the song or the album. Maybe they're doing something crazy on tour or something like that. Sometimes these publicity stunts are super effective, and sometimes they're a really bad idea. Like a really bad one. So, let's rank them. Why the hell not? You know why? Because I said so! So yeah, let's just dive the hell into it.
It's the Songpsych channel, so subscribe and leave your like.
Let's start with a recent one. Lil Nas X's Satan Shoes. This was a collab between Lil Nas X and this brand called Mischief. They made these shoes that had like 666 on them and had a drop of blood in them. They were based on the Nike Air Max 97s, and they literally just had a Nike check on them. Only 666 pairs were made, and they sold for $1,000 a set. $1,000 shoes. Wow. And if this wasn't crazy enough, Nike actually sued Mischief for copyright infringement because the shoes literally had the Nike check on them and were based off of these Nike shoes, and they just didn't get that cleared. The lawsuit eventually settled. They had to like recall the shoes or whatever. I don't really know how recalls work, honestly. If you bought the shoes and they were like, we're recalling them, what if you just like didn't give it to them? Like, what if you were just like, no, I'm just gonna keep them? There's only 666 pairs of them. In the grand scheme of things, there's not really that many. Like, if you bought the shoes, if you're one of those 666s, did you keep them or did you like have to send them back? I'm curious. Anyway, Mischief responded to the whole lawsuit thing, and they said Mischief intended to comment on the absurdity of the collaboration culture practiced by some brands and about the perniciousness. I've never heard this word.
Pernicious.
But I freaking nailed it. Mischief intended to comment on the absurdity of the collaboration culture practiced by some brands and about the perniciousness of intolerance. Whatever the hell that means. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. Like, it's kind of like when Nathan For You did the whole dumb Starbucks thing, and he was like, no, it's like an art piece. It's like a parody, you know? You can't sue me because I'm parodying you. It's kind of the same energy right here. The lawsuit's resolved now. They settled on something. And Lil Nas X wasn't even listed as a defendant in the lawsuit. It was just between Nike and Mischief. In my opinion, I think it's pretty clutch that this whole publicity stunt escalated so much and Lil Nas X didn't even have to face any of these legal repercussions. Like, he wasn't even listed as a defendant, and this was just more free press for him. So it's kind of like, let's go. Sorry you got sued. What did you think of that? And there was a lot of backlash from religious people around the whole Satan imagery in Lil Nas X's song and the shoes and the video and stuff. But I understand why he would do that. I think a lot of people understood why he did that. Why should he feel obligated to respect members of a religion when those members of the religion, most of them at least, don't respect him? I mean, obviously not all Christians hate gay people. There's a lot of rational people out there. But it just has a huge stigma of being against homosexuality. I went to Catholic school, for example. It was impossible to be able to take a girl to prom. I don't have to go on a long spiel about the problematic nature of Christianity. That's a whole nother video. I think Lil Nas X is dope. I think the album's amazing. I think the song's great. The video is what really made me fall in love with the song, honestly. And I think the whole shoe thing, why the hell not? Awesome idea. Giving him an S tier, baby. S for Satan. I'm just kidding. S for super, I guess. I don't know what S even means. Let's move on to the meat dress. We gotta talk about the Lady Gaga meat dress. Do you remember the meat dress? If you don't remember it, basically Lady Gaga wore a meat dress, like a dress made of meat, to the VMAs, methinks? Yes, the VMAs. 2010. I'm just so good. I'm sharp as a pin. I remember the meat dress from my childhood. I thought it was amazing. I was like, of course you'd wear a meat dress. Like, God, I wish that were me. But when I was looking into it now, apparently there was a political statement behind the meat dress. I had no idea there was. As a kid, I was just like, meat dress. Funny. The meat dress is actually in reference to a speech Lady Gaga made called The Prime Rib of America, which urged the U.S. military to not discriminate against gay men and lesbians and to let them join the military. She said that the law prevents the military from enjoying the greatest cut of meat my country has to offer. I mean, I obviously agree with her. Like, why why should they not let gay people into the army if they want to be in the army? Like, what does being gay have to do with, like, fighting in the war? Like, why would they not? I think looking at the meat dress, I don't quite get that message from it, but I think it's a creative way to communicate that message. I loved the meat dress before I even knew it had context, and now that I know the context, obviously I'm gonna love it even more. This is an interesting quote from this article I read about this. It's a little unrelated, but I just thought it was interesting, so you're gonna listen to it. This is about Lady Gaga and like how she spends her money as a rich and famous person. The only things I've purchased are my dad's heart valve and a Rolls Royce for my parents for their anniversary. And that was only because my dad had a Lady Gaga license plate on our old car, and it was making me crazy because he was getting followed everywhere. So I bought him a new car. Other than that, I put everything in the show, and I actually went bankrupt after the first extension of the Monster Ball. And it was funny because I didn't even know. And I remember I called everyone and said, why is everyone saying I have no money? This is ridiculous. I have 5 #1 singles. And they said, well, you're $3 million in debt. Isn't that wild? Lady Gaga, just spending her money on her mommy and daddy. How sweet. What a lovely person. I love Lady. I love the meat dress. I love the message. Why would I give this anything under an S tier? On to the next one. Number 3. When Fall Out Boy tried to break a world record by playing a show in Antarctica. So once upon a time, Fall Out Boy wanted to break the world record for playing in all 7 continents in the least amount of time. They also wanted to do like a whole documentary behind it and bring a film crew with them to Antarctica to also show the impacts of global warming. That's pretty cool. I mean, the globe is definitely warming. Someone's got to show us. But they were told that they had a 1% chance of their flights actually being able to take off because of the weather, because they decided to do this in like winter time in Antarctica. So what do you expect? You know, it's the winter, it's Antarctica. But they were like, hey, screw it, we're still gonna try it. 1% is 1%. But lo and behold, their flight ended up getting canceled because of drum roll please, bad weather. It's interesting because recently I've been thinking, how can I do a publicity stunt for my own music? Maybe I should try to break a world record. And I was Googling all the world records I could possibly break and like taking notes and stuff, and I might actually try to do it because there's some silly ones out there. It's not a bad idea to try to break a world record. Why the hell not? It's fun too. This would have been so cool if they did this in the least amount of time, but they just didn't. So they get an A for effort. A tier. A for effort. They fall the boys. We love the boys, I guess. Next one. Go! It all started when Pitbull partnered with Walmart. Basically, he promised to play in whichever Walmart store that got the most likes on Facebook. But this guy named David Thorpe took to Twitter and thought it would be hilarious if he got everyone to send Pitbull to the most remote Walmart store possible in Kodiak, Alaska. And the internet came to David's rescue. They swarmed that Facebook page. It got over 71,000 likes. You know how many people are in Kodiak, Alaska? 6,000. 71,000 likes on that Walmart store. Whatever David told him, it got the people thinking. It got the people saying, let's send Pitbull to the middle of nowhere. So naturally, Kodiak, Alaska won. And Pitbull had to go. What is he going to do? Say, I don't think so. No. Pitbull's going to Alaska. And he was a pretty good sport about it too, actually. Apparently, Alaska has like an island 250 miles off the coast of it. What? I didn't know that until I found out Pitbull went there. The locals of Kodiak didn't even think he was gonna come. They were like, there's no way Pitbull's gonna come here. But
he's not gonna come to Kodiak, Alaska.
He did. And he was welcomed so warmly. Everyone was so excited. They gave him gifts. Basically, the whole freaking island came to watch him. They literally gave him keys to the city. I mean, honestly, I think this is pretty hilarious. I think it's funny that the internet just thought it would be awesome to send Pitbull to the middle of nowhere. I think it's awesome that Pitbull was such a good sport about it, that he did it and he was happy to do it. I think this was an incredible publicity stunt. As a publicity stunt, this was great for Walmart and this was great for Pitbull. You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone with this one. Wow. And it's all thanks to Twitter. Thanks, Twitter. I mean, S tier. We're covering so many good stunts today.
Or are we?
Well, we'll see. Let's talk about the 32-foot tall Michael Jackson statues that are all around Europe. Once upon a time, Michael Jackson and Sony wanted to promote his new album called History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. This was literally one of the most expensive album rollouts in history. Sony was like, hey Michael, like, what do you want to do to promote this? And he was just like, you know, I guess they could build a statue of me. And then Sony was like, okay, let's build 9 statues of you. 32-foot tall statues of Michael Jackson. 9 of them. Like 4,000-pound statues of him. And they strategically placed them all all around Europe. One was being tugged around in the Thames River of London, and one still remains in a McDonald's parking lot in the Netherlands. He also made a super extravagant teaser for the album. Michael Jackson is dressed to the nines, striding among hundreds of Eastern Bloc type soldiers past these absolutely delirious fans. And he shot the video in Hungary and hired a bunch of Hungarian soldiers to march in it. And this video cost $4 million to make. I mean, yeah, this is a crazy idea. Having statues of Michael Jackson built, hiring hundreds of Hungarian soldiers to just like march along with you in a video to promote this album. But did this actually do that much to promote the album? How did the album do? Well, how did the album do? I'll tell you how the album did. History broke sales records in its first week. In the UK, it sold 100,000 copies in just 2 days. And in Australia, the advance order of 130,000 copies was the largest initial shipment in Sony Australia's history. And similar sales like this were witnessed all over Europe. So it kind of makes sense that they would do all this publicity stuff in Europe, because maybe they were trying to boost their sales in Europe. And that they did. They broke some serious records. Along with just the sales, Michael also performed 82 concerts in 58 cities, covering 35 countries on 5 continents. More than 4.5 million fans came to the shows, and the tour became one of Jackson's most successful tours in terms of the total audience. The tour alone grossed over $163 million. So yeah, I think they made the $30,000 back. Did they need to spend $30 million? No, they didn't. But at that point, you know, he was just so rich. Why the hell not, I guess? I don't know how he felt about the whole statue thing, but I guess we'll never know. Overall, yeah, pretty outrageous publicity stunt. And it definitely proved to be successful. So, I mean, why would I give this anything under an S tier? Like, this deserves nothing but an S tier. It's ridiculous. All right, on to the next one. This one I had no idea happened until I was writing this script. DJ Khaled proposed to Nicki Minaj, like, to get married. Wow! Or did he? He did it on camera, on MTV, with a 10-carat diamond ring that was estimated to cost $500,000. This was a publicity stunt to promote the song that had come out that following week called I Want to Be With You. It had DJ Khaled on it, had Nicki Minaj on it, had a couple other people on it. Pretty cool. And this was a single from his album Suffering from Success.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to marry you.
And with all that context in mind, like the publicity stunt, like if you watch it, he's like, you know, we make so much sense together. We're both suffering from success. And that's the name of the album. And it's like he's proposing Nicki Minaj. The song's called I Want to Be With You. Wow. Genius. Brilliant, kind of. Nicki Minaj came out after this whole thing went live and was like, this was clearly a stunt. You know, like DJ Khaled and I are not really attracted to each other like that. It was just to promote the song. Here's my thoughts on this. I think that this stunt had potential. I think it had so much potential. And they just got a little lazy with it. No one's gonna believe that he was actually proposing to Nicki Minaj. He did it on camera as an MTV exclusive. Why wouldn't they stage the publicity stunt in a public park in like Central Park or something and get DJ Khaled to get down on one knee, Nicki Minaj to stand over him going, oh, and then like maybe she just walks away or something, or maybe she says yes. Actually, what if she said yes? Nicki Minaj says yes to the marriage proposal. They literally stage a wedding. They stage a fake wedding to get married, and then they get divorced in like 2 weeks. Why didn't we do that? It could have been so crazy. This could have been the stunt of the century, but they got lazy with it. This is why I never heard of it, because this stunt was half-assed. The whole thing, it seems so forced. I mean, watch the video. It's clearly so scripted. It screams publicity stunt, which is fine. It's fine, but it's just my taste. But I just think it would be more interesting if they made it a little bit more real. In conclusion, C tier. Sorry. C for could have been better, but was too corporate. C for corporate. Alright, on to the next one. Guys, how can we not do a video on publicity stunts without talking about U2? God-forsaken album that was forced upon everyone with an iPhone, with an iPod, with a freaking iTunes. It all started in 2014. The New York Times reports the day before that year's Apple event that U2 will have something to do with it, they say. U2 was said to play a role in it. That's what they said. This was the presentation where Tim Cook and the other Apple executives unveiled the iPhone 6. And this was the first ever mention of the Apple Watch. So this was a pretty important thing. This was a big day in Apple history. There was so much speculation within those past 24 hours. They were like, is U2 going to play a song? What the hell does U2 have to do with Apple? What does that have to do with Tim Apple? So U2 is at the event. They perform their song, The Miracle of Joey Ramone or whatever. After the song, Tim Cook looks at the crowd and he goes, now wasn't that the most incredible song you ever heard? The crowd goes wild. They go, yeah, I guess. Then came the announcement. The album, U2's first album in 5 years, Songs of Innocence, would be preloaded onto everyone's devices. Bono wanted to get it to as many people as possible. The album would be given to 500 million iTunes subscribers for free. This is something Apple had never done before. It was supposed to be an Apple exclusive for a month, and then it would go up for like normal sale. This required one of the most popular artists at the time to totally forego a traditional album rollout and with like album sales and stuff to do this Apple thing. Apple spent $100 million on this thing. Bono and Steve Jobs were actually really good friends for a while. I mean, this whole thing happened after Steve Jobs passed, but I just think it's really interesting because this isn't the first time that Apple and U2 have done something together. Bono was actually one of the first musicians ever to endorse the idea of an iTunes store. This gave it so much legitimacy when a lot of people thought this was like a huge risk. U2 was also featured in Apple commercials, like this one in 2004 with their song Vertigo. In 2004, Apple and U2 launched a special edition iPod. And in 2006, U2 and Apple actually teamed up for Product Red. U2 was like a part of that whole rollout, which Apple's still doing now. It all started with a red-colored iPod Nano, which raised money for AIDS research. So that's pretty cool. They've done a ton of stuff together. And they thought, wow, this is going to be awesome. Like, this is going to be so cool. Like, everyone's going to love it. U2, everyone gets to listen to U2 for free. Yeah. Apple intended for this to be a gift to its users. But oh my god, was this met with backlash immediately. Some of the most intense backlash Apple has received for doing something. So many Apple customers saw this as like intrusive on them and the sacred privacy of their iTunes account. Articles came out with headlines like, Apple's devious U2 album giveaway is even worse than spam. How U2 became the most hated band in America. Apple and U2 intended for this to be a gift. We're doing the people a favor. We're giving them U2's first album in 5 years. It's something that everyone's been waiting for free. People hated this. So many people were like, get this the hell off my phone. So then less than a week later, Apple released instructions on how to remove the album. Damn. No way Apple's ever doing anything like this again. Oh my god. And on one end, it's like, you know, U2 was huge at the time, and it's like free music. You're getting free music. What's so bad about that? Free music, you know? But just like make a playlist without that in there. But in my personal experience with this whole thing, I remember the U2 album on my freaking phone or iPod or whatever I had at the time. I don't remember how old I was, but I know I had never listened to U2 before having this album put on my device. And man, it pissed me off too. I was like, get this the hell off of my phone. I didn't want it. Like, it came on one day and I was like, what is this? Like, I don't want this. Did anyone actually listen to this? Please tell me. Like, when you got this album on your phone, if you remember this happening to you, were you stoked? Was anyone like, frick yeah, U2 for free, let's go, Songs of Innocence, baby. Did anyone want this? Who was happy about this? Were U2 fans even happy about this? What if the album sucked and now you just have it? I don't know. Honestly, I feel really bad for U2 because they just wanted their songs heard. Bono was like buddies with freaking Steve Jobs. They'd worked with Apple so many times. They were like, yeah, let's do this thing together. Let's like do it. And oh my god, it couldn't have gone worse. Everyone hated it. I don't know. Pretty bold to assume that everyone likes U2. Pretty bold to assume that everyone wanted this album before even giving it a listen. This is their first album in 5 years. Poor fellas. I feel bad for everyone, but I literally have no choice but to give this an F tier. I have no choice. Well, I do, because I make the rules. It's like I made the tier list, you know, like I have a choice. But this is what I chose. It was a bad idea. That's the freaking list, everyone. That's the tier list. What the hell do you think? Please tell me your experience with the U2 album. Please tell me if you were stoked about it. Like, I really want want to know if there's anyone out there who was like, yeah. What are your favorite publicity stunts? You know, just let me know what you think. Honestly, please. I do like to read the comments. I know I don't respond to them a lot, but I do read them. And I like them. So tell me what you think.